Everyone, welcome to the City Council meeting. It is Monday, September 21st, 2020. We'll start the meeting with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Nordstrom, Roberts, Stroman, Armstrong, Jones, Lehman, Salomon, Evans, Drew. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And now we have Pastor Ron McLaughlin here for the invocation, and following the invocation we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Us today here in Rapid City. I thank you for that the day before the fall seasons to begin. And Lord, I thank you for our city. I thank you for, we're grateful that we get to live here. And so we thank you, God, for that. Lord, I thank you for these leaders and the public servants in this room, and I especially think of the police officers and the firefighters today. Lord, I just thank you for them. I thank you for their willingness to lead and serve in such a way. I do pray, Father, that you will bring wisdom and discernment and direction to their decisions tonight and this year, and we'll trust you for what you're going to do here, God. And we love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God. Thank you, everyone. And now for the adoption of the agenda. This is a time when the council may adopt the agenda as written or make certain alterations to it. Would there be a motion? Motion to adopt the agenda by Jason Solomon, second by Laura Armstrong. All in favor of adoption of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have a presentation. Item number 1 on the agenda is a presentation by the Youth City Council.
Thank you for having us. I'm Hannah Churchill, and I'm the chair of the Youth City Council.
And I am Jordan Kokish, and I'm the vice chair of the Youth City Council. So to begin with, just letting you know, this information mostly covers what you may remember from our resolution passing back in December, and we also wanted to add some important stuff that we've been working on throughout these 9 months. To begin with, we will read to you our mission statement. It is to be an accessible channel for open communication between the Rapid City Council and youth in the community with opportunities to spark civic engagement and gain valuable experience.
Who we are, we're youth 14 to 18 years of age in Rapid City. We have students from almost every school, high school in Rapid City, homeschooled students, and then some middle school students. It's an inclusive environment where diverse voices are welcome. The selection committee strives to have representation, and that's really important. 2 members from each grade, and then we have 15 to 18 members. Our roles and responsibilities, we have monthly meetings on the second Tuesday of every month at 6:30, and our requirement is attendance at greater than 75%. We advise the Common Council on matters relating to youth and represent at Common Council meetings 2 to 3 times a year. And then our goal is to promote civic engagement with our peers and support committee work. And then we participate in service projects, and our elected positions have additional responsibilities.
So first of all, we would like to say that we hope that your experience in helping us with the Youth City Council has been beneficial, and we wanted to share some of the benefits that we thought were important to us. So the Youth City Council is very important to us because it provides an accessible channel for open communication between youth and adults in the city. It also lets youth get involved in public matters and government activities that many of us have never even experienced or heard of before. Like, especially from my personal experience, I really haven't learned anything about local government until I was involved with this. So I feel that this is a very strong opportunity for youth to share our voice with the Common Council over our ideas. And this also creates opportunities for adult and youth mentorship in the Youth City Council, such as we have a liaison Lance Lehman, who helps us throughout all of our meetings and helps to guide us through this process.
Some of the benefits to the community of having a youth city council: it provides a network of young people to connect with and learn from. For example, I've met a lot of new people that I didn't know from different schools, so it's allowed me to meet people that don't go to my school and I'm not around every day. It provides positive examples of the good work that youth of today are engaged in, motivates additional community members to engage in government and service work. If youth can step in and do it, I should do something as well. It creates a generation of actively informed community members, and that's also really important to us. Getting youth involved in government was one of our big things when we were presenting our proposal. Young people engaged in their community tend to stay or return to their home community to explore career opportunities, and then it encourages young people to share their voices in the community and be a part of things that will affect us in the future and right now.
And some of the benefits for the youth city council members themselves include gaining an understanding of processes of the city government. And for example, every month we have one of the departments of the city come speak to us and tell them what they do and how youth can get involved in that opportunity. And it also provides us an opportunity to review items that are discussed at the council meetings. So if you haven't noticed, we have like 2 to 3 youth come to each council meeting to take notes, and we take them back to our city council, youth city council, and we discuss them and share our ideas and inputs on what is happening in the community. This has also given us experience in using Robert's Rules of Order, which was an interesting process to learn, but it is a very beneficial experience that I think a lot of us will take on later in life. And not only this, but we get to develop leadership skills, whether this is from being a chair, a vice chair, a secretary, but also we have committee leadership that people can take a part of to learn and spread their ideas. And this also expands on the personal and community support network throughout the community between adults and youth. Oh, this is also me. So to begin with, our first meeting was in January, and this is when we swore in all of our members and elected our officers. So our I'm sorry. So Hannah is our chair of the youth city council. I am the vice chair, and Jocelyn, who is unable to make it today, is our secretary. And that all happened in January. So in February, we created and approved the bylaws based on our approved resolution back in December, and they're pretty much the same as they are now. We're going to plan a meeting in the near future to discuss if there needs to be any resolutions or tweaks that we need to make. And also in February, we had a youth city council retreat, and we learned about the history of government. We learned about the Robert's Rules of Order, and this is when we also discussed what ideas we want to focus on in learning and sharing with our community. So we created 3 subcommittees called the Mental Health, Community Relations, and Cultural Competence, as well as the Environment Committee. And each of our members is a part of one of these committees, and they do extra work along the sides of the youth city council where young people, even if they're not involved in our youth city council, can take a part of and be involved in the community. We also created a COVID-19 restrictions memorandum back in March that was shared to the Common Council, as well as an RCAS memorandum that we talked about how we felt of the schools closing, and we sent that in to Dr. Simon. We also, in our committee work, we also created vision statements, and these will be shared a little later in the slide. And we also, in May, we had a Zoom meeting with Elevate Wyoming, and they were interested in how to start a youth city council themselves in Casper. So we basically told them what we did and gave them advice on how to start a youth city council back in their area.
So then, starting in June, at our July and August meetings, we had an awards and recognitions to foundational supporters at our meeting, where we thanked all the people who helped us get where we are and get the council started and supported us. In July, we also had a marketing work group form to discuss awareness and recruitment for our new term that starts in January for the Youth City Council. We did the Black Hills podcast, and we talked about the Youth City Council there in July. And then our mental health committee community panel with News Center 1 and United Way was in July, and we had a couple representatives do that. In August, we had our KOTA focus segment on the Youth City Council work. And also in August, we had our park cleanup with the Environment Committee, and that was at Founders Park. And we had a lot of people come and help clean up the park. It was a lot of fun. And then in September, our Community Relations Committee created a memorandum in support of the Human Relations Task Force, and we provided our approval and also some recommendations. And then in September, we had a podcast with SDPB, the Civics Short Takes, You and Your Democracy, and Jordan and I did that podcast. And then on September 23rd, this Wednesday, we'll have a marketing proposal with Mayor Allender. And then the Community Relations and Cultural Competence Committee, our vision statement is, as Youth of Rapid City, we value coming together to openly teach, learn, and respect all cultures to build a safer and stronger community. And so with that committee, we've been meeting with partners in the community, people from Woyaton Lutheran Church and from the Human Relations Task Force. And this is the committee that wrote up that memorandum in support of the Human Relations Task Force, and that's our biggest project that we've done and that I'm really proud of. And yeah.
And I am a part of the Environment Committee, and our vision statement is, as Youth of Rapid City, our goal is to raise awareness, environmental awareness among community members in order to create an eco-friendly community. So we have been meeting, and we are discussing ways to help better our environmental issues within our community. One of the biggest things we've done so far is we hosted a park cleanup at Founders Park, I think around 4 or 5 weeks ago. And this was a very important opportunity for us because we got to see community members from all over the city come together and help for a common purpose. And our third committee is our Mental Health Committee, and their vision statement is, as Youth of Rapid City, our goals is to raise awareness for mental health in our community and attempt to provide support and resources to strengthen mental wellness. So some of the things that this group is planning to do is they're looking at projects to host for suicide prevention within the next couple of months, as well as having a panel discussion in the near future.
All right, so then what can you do to support the Youth City Council work? First, you can share with others and create awareness about us and our work. Support the Youth City Council work by creating financial assistance in future city budgets. Attend public Youth City Council meetings and provide public comment. And those are the second Tuesday of every month at 6:30 right here. Participate in community events planned by the Youth City Council like the park cleanup. And encourage young people you know to apply at www.rcycc.com or get involved in one of the committees that we have.
So again, this link is for open applications for the Youth City Council, and these are our emails if you need to contact any of us. And we're really thankful for you all for listening to us and helping us through this process of creating this Youth City Council, and we will be open to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, well, thank you. I, for one, would like to thank the Youth City Council and Councilmember Lehman and other council members who've been supportive. This is really a nice thing for our community. I think especially when you get to be a little bit older, like member Nordstrom. I think you tend to think of the youth as being these people that are so different from us. And so I'm encouraged that there are youth in this community that have an interest in this sort of thing. And I hope when you're, whatever the plans are, when you're out of school or out of college or sometime after you're established in your adult life, that you'll be on this dais as one of the council members and bring the experience that you've learned. with you. So thank you for that. Thank you to all the members. We'll go to Pat Jones.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It's so wonderful to have you two here. Thank you. Seeing high school age kids succeed and do well in life was a huge part of my career as an educator. And it's wonderful to see this happening. So thank you two for taking on the leadership roles of it. And I just can't tell you how wonderful it is to hear everything that you said. I really want to congratulate you on having the courage to have one of your committees be a mental health committee. It hasn't been too long ago that talking about mental health was taboo, and no one admitted there were mental health problems, yet we know they exist every day. So now comes you folks with the courage and the vision to see that mental health plays a vital role in what we do. I applaud you so much for that. We, as adults, need to realize that and recognize that. Right? If we break our arm, we go to the doctor for body health. Why wouldn't we care about mental health? But it's taken a group like you folks to come forward. And I just can't tell you, I mean, it scratches me right where I itch. And I'm just so proud of you. How were those committees chosen?
So we had a working group in, I think it was February, and we met and we talked about, there was a presentation about government, so we learned about government and the history of Rapid City's government. And then we broke out into small groups and thought of a lot of different topics that we were interested in focusing on. And then we narrowed it down to the 3 that we have now.
Well, I think they're awesome choices. They are everything that needs to be addressed, short-term, long-term, and I thank you. And if I can ever be of any assistance, please let me know. And thank you. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Mayor. I yield.
Darla Drew.
Just echoing my comments here and saying great job and thank you for your participation and your presentation tonight. You mentioned that you were looking for applicants. Is that with the last part where you gave out your web address and those kinds of things? Do you need more members, or how many members do you have now? How many would you like to have?
Right now, I think we have 17. I'm not sure about that, but we're always open for more applications. And it's open year-round, so anyone can apply any time of the year. Like if we lose people, if someone gives up their spot or moves or anything, we'll put a new person in the spot that needs to be filled. So
What's your gender breakdown?
we have 2 boys right now.
Well, that's not a bad thing. So I like strong women, so thank you very much. That's all I needed to know. I just wanted to know how, if you were in need of members, but I will just help promote that idea that you are always looking for members. Thank you. I yield.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is general public comment. This is a time for the members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at this meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. And we have one speaker request for general public comment, and that's Dan Seffner from Destination Rapid City. And just as a reminder, you'll have 10 seconds to say everything you want to say.
Hi, goodbye, let's get this done. Dan Seffner, President, Destination Rapid City, long-term downtown resident. I think we all know that lighting for me is a big thing. We got a new lighting project on Main and St. Joe. Everything is under construction. A new bid goes out in October for phase 2 of the lighting project. What I want to discuss right now is a discussion that we've had about alley lighting. I think alley lighting becomes very important. It has been discussed with city about alley lighting, and there's been some hesitation. We need to address this. We all know we have situations going on in our downtown that are maybe not as pleasant as we would like. And alley lighting becomes very important. I have had many discussions with Black Hills Energy, and they are willing to put up 3 poles per alley in the downtown area with no charge. These poles will be installed. There'll be LED lights. I know this because I paid for having them done in the alley where I own property. Alley lighting is very important. So we have to consider where we're going with this. What are we doing? This is on the agenda. This is coming up. Black Hills Energy is doing construction now. And as soon as we delay this and they don't have a plan, we will be paying several $1,000s to add it later. I mean, they are doing all of this downtown. They are removing what they call the H-frames. Those will be gone. They are putting pods in where the power goes. It's very important that we talk about alley lighting. I just can't think about what it would be like to have our alleys dark. I know it's been proposed that the owners should pay for their own alley lighting. Well, let me give you a quick example. In the property that I own, when it was dark and I was out there one night, I thought, what's going on here? Why is it dark? That night I had graffiti immediately. The next day I called Nathan from Black Hills Energy and he said, well, Dan, we're discussing not putting alley lighting in. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is impossible. Well, he said, no. I said, how do we get this done? I immediately had it done for the alleys that I am in. Will everyone do that? Probably not. So I'm asking city and council to very seriously address alley lighting for our downtown area. There's been a lot of work done here. We need this done. We need this taken care of. Black Hills Energy tells me $16.40 per month per light. Wow, are you kidding me? That's almost free. And they're going to put it in for free. We need to address this. We need to make sure that this happens. We have a great downtown. We got more expansion going on. It's happening. So I'm just saying, I suggest very strongly that council takes a strong look at this in moving forward. And I thank you for your time, and I will respect the red light. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. That's all we have for general public comment. So we'll move on to non-public hearing items 2 through 37. We have no speaker requests on items 2 through 31, so we'll move on to the consent items 2 through 31. Would the council members like to pull any of these items for separate consideration? We'll go to Laura Armstrong.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull number 21, please.
Okay. Lance Lehman.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 22.
Okay. Item 21 and 22. Anybody else? Darla Drew?
Item 29. 29.
29. Last call. Anyone else? Jason Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's go with item 19, please.
Still a few items left. Anyone?
What? I'm gonna take out item 25.
Okay, sorry I said anything. Item 25. All right, so then would there be a motion to approve the consent items with the exception of 19, 21, 22, 25, and 29? So moved. Motion by Pat Jones, second by Laura Armstrong. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to item 19. Confirm the reappointment of Karen Bullman, John Herr, Eric Heikus, and Vince Vidal to the Planning Commission. Jason Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I move to confirm. If I can get a second and retain the floor, please.
Second. Okay, we have second by Jones. Go ahead.
And basically, this is more related to maybe 18, 19, and 20. But first of all, I'd just like to thank all of those who serve our city in these capacities, our boards and committees. The work that actually gets done in our community are done by average everyday citizens just like us. We are citizen servants, but there are folks who serve on planning commissions, airport boards, committees. It is so important, and first of all, I just want to show appreciation to all of these folks who are serving, but two, encourage people to take a look at what the city has to offer in terms of serving. If you want to actually make a difference, and I was once told, it's better to, rather than complain and criticize, it's better to get in and activate and be engaged. And if you want to make a difference, a tangible difference that moves the needle, get involved in one of these committees or on our our boards or anything like that that the city has. There's many opportunities to serve in areas that might interest you. And I just want to encourage folks to be engaged, because it's really important. We listen to it. We give a lot of weight to what folks who are serving in these committees have to say. And I think it's just a wonderful opportunity for our citizens to take ownership of their city, because this is our city. It's only as good as we make it. And I just want to, again, thank these folks for serving and encourage others to step up and serve if you can. Thank you. I yield.
Okay, all in favor of approval of number 19, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 21, authorize the mayor and finance officer to sign a memorandum of understanding between the City of Rapid City and the Minnelusahan-Okolakichiapi ambassadors to create a private or public-private partnership to continue the work begun by both the MOA and the former Human Relations Commission. We'll go to Laura Armstrong.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to make a motion to approve, if I may get a second.
Second by Richie Nordstrom. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Nordstrom. I just want to acknowledge the people that are a part of the MOA and the HRC. We have some people here: Karen Mortimer, Whitney Rencounter, Marnie Herman, Amy Sazu. I think I see Bill May. Did I miss anybody? And of course, our very own city attorney, Jessica Rogers. They worked really hard over the last year looking at the former HRC, and I just want to acknowledge them. In addition, we had some pretty in-depth discussion at our legal and finance meeting last week, and there was some questions, and I'm glad that they are here. So if there are any questions from my colleagues, we have some people here that were literally in the trenches that can answer a lot more clearly. So thank you. Anybody want to come and speak to this, or if my colleagues have any questions, I'm going to yield at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Jason Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm the one who probably had all the questions, and my question was really about who this reports to, and I did not want to have a situation where we would have the executive director for this wonderful program that some great folks have put into it report to like many different people at one time. You ever had multiple bosses tell you different things? That's inefficient. So my questions were more aligns with the city about where this is going to report to. Joel Landine, our city attorney, mentioned it come to his office, which makes sense because Jess Rogers, who's been spearheading this effort from our attorney's office, has been amazing. And so, Jess, I see you up there, and did you want to speak to this at all?
No, I'm just here if you still need clarification. I've
No.
heard some of the questions and.
My comments is I think Jess Rogers is amazing, and I hope this position reports to her, but that's not my call to make at this time. That was really the nature of it, just to make sure that if we're creating a position, where does it report to? These things can get political, they don't have to be, but I think with a 9-member committee with very clear objectives and a clear line of chain of command, it can be successful in the long term. So kudos to the committee for all of your work. We've listened to it, and I will look forward to seeing what the details of the program are as they come forward. With that, I yield.
Darla Drew.
Jessica, maybe you could answer this for me, please. How close are we to having an actual working committee and meetings starting to be actually held?
Very close. We were just talking about that. We're waiting. As soon as the council acts, we're ready to hand the mayor a list of potential commissioners so that he can get them appointed. As you know, there's a full-time position that comes with this. We would like to hire that person for January, meaning we'd like to advertise in October. So as soon as you pass this, we're going to run outside and have our first mini meeting and then get started. So almost immediately in response.
Wow. Could you do it faster, really? I mean, okay, thank you very much for your answer. I yield. Yeah, let's get out of the way.
All right, the motion on the floor is for approval, and I would like to say one additional time that this group has done amazing work. And, you know, we appointed this citizen committee to evaluate this former Human Relations Commission, and I was very pessimistic about it. There was a lot of negative feedback about the prior commission, not because of any of the individuals, just because of how clunky it was implemented and maintained. And I really didn't know if anything good could be made out of it. And so this group and all these wonderful people came together and shared their experiences and their knowledge, and they came up with something that I could not have anticipated. So it was a very exciting presentation. I think everyone was afraid to give me their recommendations because it looked like it was going to cost money or something of that nature, but it's really an outstanding job. And also hats off to Jess Rogers for playing a huge part in all of that as well. So, motion on the floor is for approval. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Okay, item 22. Acknowledge the following volunteers for workers' compensation purposes. Rapid City Youth Council members. Yeah, there's a lot of them on the agenda. So we'll say a variety of volunteers for workers' comp. We'll go to Lance Lehman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just need to abstain from this vote.
Okay. All right, Darla Drew. Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a motion to approve from Jason Solomon and a second by Pat Jones. All in favor of approval of 22, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with 2 abstentions. Item 25. Authorize mayor and finance officer to sign loan documentation with Black Hills Community Bank for executive golf course division equipment. And we'll go to Darla Drew.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got Jeff Bigler, the Parks Director, coming up right now. And as I did at the Legal and Finance, just because I know more people watch this meeting, I think it's important that we kind of define when we spend money on some of our very favorite, should I say, projects. Golf is a big deal here in Rapid City, and I'd like to know a little bit about the equipment that we're purchasing and why. And we are getting 3 mowers. We're spending $145,000, which might strike a lot of people as being a bit spendy. So, but I'd like you to define that for us, please, what we're getting.
Sure. Thank you very much. These are not just 3 push mowers like you might have at your home. These are specialized golf course maintenance equipment. They're all riding mowers, one that is specialized for fairways, one for the rough areas around a golf course, and one that does a very fine cut for the greens. In addition to that, other piece of equipment, that Workman HDX, is a utility vehicle that staff will use to drive about the course in their maintenance duties.
And what happens to the retired pieces of equipment?
The old equipment, which is very old, it actually was a hand-me-down from the other golf course, and those will be surplused.
Which means what?
Well, that means we'll take them off of our fixed asset list, and they can either be sold at auction or traded in for other equipment.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I yield.
Okay, we need a motion on item 25. Motion approved by Greg Stroman, second by Lance Lehman. We'll go to Pat Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, is it possible to mow and make the fairways wider? Based on my game this summer, I seem to be missing the fairways, and if they were wider, I'd do a lot better.
We can certainly look at that.
Commissioner Drew is right. Golf is a big deal in town. I love to play, and I know many, many others do, and the courses are great this summer, so thank you very much.
Okay, motion for approval of item 25 is for approval of item 25. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now on to item 29, authorize mayor and finance officer to sign the State of South Dakota agreement, letter of agreement for the air quality program. We'll go to Darla Drew.
Thank you, Mayor. I brought this up with the Legal and Finance because I was concerned that we were spending money And there was really nothing much we could do about our air quality at this point with things coming in, with the smoke rolling in from the fires in the northwest and west. So I was kind of questioning whether we would benefit in any way from saying yes to this. However, I understand it's a state requirement, so that's something that we need to do. I also was concerned that maybe we didn't use this information enough to let other people, our citizens, know what's going on with the air quality. It can look good, and it might be a high risk. And so I'm not really sure how we get this information out. Of course, my Dias mates showed me that you could get it really easily on your phone and those kinds of things, but not everybody checks their phone or looks at that every day, or goes to the, not everyone gets the journal. So I wanted to know how we got this information out. So I'm going to ask Daryl Schumacher, our PR guy. He had a little bit more information he wanted to impart, and he didn't get a chance to do this the other day. So Daryl, if you'd like to help us understand how this information gets out to the citizens.
Sure. Thank you for the question. Basically, several times a year, the guidance has to come from the state. When the state DENR issues, they're the ones who issue the air quality alert, and it's issued and relayed through the National Weather Service in conjunction with our air quality office. And so as soon as we get that information, we immediately send that out to our media partners, as well as putting it out on our social media platforms. So we'll put the message out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. In addition to that, and there's a full explanation basically of where in Rapid City the air quality alert is issued for. The air quality office issues guidance. Basically, anyone with compromised health conditions should stay inside. There's guidance there for people who are working in construction or the ag industry, voluntary precautions that they can take. That's all part of the news release that's basically put out by the state, relayed through the National Weather Service, and sent out by the City of Rapid City. Also, several times a year, we will issue guidance. There are several sites that people can go to. Obviously, they can go to the National Weather Service site. Everyone's probably familiar when you go and you see those color-coded areas on the National Weather Service map that shows where the watches and the warnings and the air quality alerts are for. Last week, the main question was, why isn't there an air quality alert issued for Rapid City? Or they just assumed there was because they could see the smoke along the hills and so forth. In essence, when you went to the EPA site, you got a reading of in the 40s, which was actually good air quality for Rapid City. So just because you see the smoke might not necessarily mean we're in a bad air quality condition. So as far as the city is concerned, we take our guidance from the state. When we get those releases, we put that information out, again, publicly, and there's several sites that we guide people to check out to get more information, as well as our own air quality page on our community development site.
Well, that is all really helpful information, because I didn't know a lot of that stuff was being done by the city. On the council, we have a lot of information that comes by us. I don't see everything, and so I really appreciate you clarifying that. But I think that the general feeling of legal and finance was that we should do a better job. I know we're spending citizens' money, and that we should try and get this out just a little bit more, maybe involving the radio, TV stations, and just making sure that they know this is an important bit of information for people to have.
One of the things that we'll do, obviously, and there's been instances in which they will get they'll actually issue the air quality alert in the middle of the night for the following afternoon. As soon as we get that information, we try to get that information out 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because our radio partners, they're going on air at 5:30. Our TV partners are going on at 5:30 and 6. We want to make sure we have that information in their hands so that they can report that. So as soon as we get it, we try to spin that around and turn it around to the media folks and get it out on our social media platforms. So we don't hesitate to get that information out.
And how do we get the readings from our area so quick?
So again, you can go to.
No. How do we get the information? Who's measuring that?
That's the state DENR. They have monitoring stations throughout Rapid City, and they monitor the readings, and they're the ones who will issue the air quality alert.
So if we got a lot of wind with a lot of gravel and we got smoke rolling in at the same time, you know, those people are those stations are monitoring all evening?
Those monitoring stations are the ones that provide, again, those readings, and that, again, sometimes it can be a deception, because you can see some days where it's smoky and it does affect the air quality, and they'll issue an alert. Like I say, a perfect example was last week. I think maybe it was Councilmember Solomon actually brought it up on his phone and saw that it was actually a green reading in the 40s, which meant that the air quality was actually good that particular day. So, you know, a lot of experts out there who crunch the numbers and determine what qualifies as good and what qualifies as bad air quality. So again, we can't issue anything unless we have that guidance from the state, where, you know, one of the things that we do our partners with the fire department, for instance, when they'll talk about you'll see smoky conditions in the area. It's not because that there's a fire in Rapid City or in the area. They may indicate that there's a lot of fires on the coast and that smoke is emanating through the area. We will piggyback on that messaging as well.
Well, that is an excellent bit of information, very insightful, and it helped me a lot understand what you're doing in the background, and maybe I'll do a little bit more on my Facebook just to help people that follow the political stuff that I put out for Ward 5. So thank you very much, Daryl. My yield.
Okay, we need a motion, I believe, on item 29. Motion to approve by Nordstrom, a second by Stroman. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, and that takes us through consent items. Now on to non-consent items, 32 through 37. We'll open public comment on these items, and we have one speaker request on item 35 from Shane Geidel.
Hello, Shane Geidel. I live at 2341 Bradsky Road. First off, I guess the reason why we're here, the little orange box is my property, and the circle is the city's planning and zoning jurisdiction, plating. So I want to split that into a 12 and a 20 acre section. It's 48 acres right now. There's an issue with the 40 dwelling units, and I know that's kind of a safety thing, but if you can see there's my property again. There's 4 houses between myself and 44. There's no trees, it's a straight road. There's no bottlenecks in that country. So it would be easy for me to get out, and I don't think I'd create issues for anybody else to get out. The other big thing, I tried this in 2009 to split this property, and the same thing came up. It was the 40 acre or 40 unit rule per one access. And at that time, the staff report said there was 80 parcels on Bradsky Road, or were serviced by Bradsky Road. Last week we got the staff report, pretty much the same staff report, except for there's 103 parcels on Bradsky Road now. And I don't feel that it's quite fair that somehow 23 other people got this exception, but I keep getting denied. I've talked to most of the people sitting up here this week in the last 5 days, and appreciate the option. I think every conversation was over 20 minutes, some were over an hour, and I would just hope that the staff would reconsider the motion to deny, or the recommendation to deny, and give me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, and we'll be taking up your item in just a couple minutes. Okay, and we'll close public comment, and we'll start with item 32 under ordinances. First reading of ordinance number 6439, an ordinance amendment to amend fence height provisions by amending section 17.50.340 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Motion approved by Solomon and a second by Jones. All in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 33, second reading of ordinance 6440 regarding supplemental appropriation 6 for 2020. Motion approved by Jones. Second by Nordstrom. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now under Public Works Committee items. Item 34, appeal by Lloyd Companies of a stipulation to extend public water main as part of an exception request. And I understand the applicant in this case has withdrawn this item. So there would be no action necessary on item 34. And item 35, a request from Renner Associates LLC for an exception to allow more than 40 dwelling units with one point of access via Bradsky Road. Per section 2.6 of the Infrastructure Design Criteria Manual, a single access can only serve 40 dwelling units unless an exception is approved by City Council. And we will start with Jason Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I call up our Public Works Director, Dale Tech, please?
Yes.
Dale, just want to give you an opportunity to share why it's in the city's best interest to deny this, or if there are any other alternatives we should consider.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. This is about safety and access for emergency vehicles. The city is really following the county's lead on this. This is kind of an interjurisdictional area. Certainly, he's within the platting jurisdiction of the city of Rapid City, and our requirements for platting apply in this particular area. If you had a chance to study the attachment to the agenda, the county planning department sent an email strongly recommending that this item, this request be denied as well. I believe they've got some other issues out there with other landowners that are trying to develop property, and they're trying to make sure they get that second access. So primarily this is about a emergency access situation.
Thank you. I'll yield the rest of my time. It looks like a lot of my colleagues are in the queue. Thank you.
Okay. Pat Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Shane, when we spoke on the phone the other day, you gave me a lot of good information, a lot of things to talk about. Could you please talk a little bit about what you told me about where you're at out there specifically and why you're included in this?
Well, I showed you the picture. It's because the airport's been annexed. I'm in the 3-mile platting and zoning jurisdiction. My house is in the 1 mile of that jurisdiction. So I have to follow the city rules on this situation. But I still have to go through county also on certain things. If I was to get a building permit, whatever it may be, it falls through the county. I've been in this situation for a long time. Like I said, I bought this land, I think 17 years ago, and I always wanted to put a new house out there for myself. But it's not feasible financially for me to have two. And so that's why I'd like to split it and do it this way. There is options that for the secondary access, but they're not within miles of me. I mean, for me to have a secondary access, I'd have to build a complete new road through somebody else's property across Rapid Creek and a new bridge and onto 44. It would be millions of dollars. There's developments on Bronegrass Road, and that could tie into another section line and use Airport Bridge or the Airport Road Bridge as an access. That's a long ways away from me or where I'm at. But that did get approved at one point. I think at some point there will probably be more development in that direction, and that access might happen, but there's no way I could afford it.
Thank you. And that really got me thinking about this. where, the airport is out there and his land is out there, and because of these zoning and development areas, the 1 mile and the 3 mile and things, I'm a little bit unsettled on this responsibility being put on him. I'm also a huge proponent of making sure zoning's done the right way and safety's done the right way, so I'm not comfortable with the way this one has come together. One of the other things that Shane and I talked about was where's that 1 mile measured from out at the airport, and are we sure that he's within that, and just that all the criteria are met here before we put this burden and follow this. I'm very torn on it right now, and I don't know if our Public Works Director can fill me in a little more about that, or what, as far as how the lines are drawn and things, or just a little more information. Thank you. Shane, thank you for speaking as well.
If I may.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, the measurement is taken, we have our GIS department, Geographic Information System Department, high tech, so that measurement is done based on the airport land owned by the city of Rapid City. So that boundary, there's no question about where the 1 mile, it might be a few inches off, but certainly it's not a quarter mile off. So as far as the accuracy of where those measurements are taken, they're quite accurate.
So we can be confident in the fact that it definitely is within the zone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll yield my time. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, I'll make a motion to allow the exception. And if I get a second, to retain the floor.
Second by Bill Evans. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Mr. Geidel has presented himself very well about all the issues that have taken place out there and probably will take place out there in this area. So I'm supporting this for a variety of reasons, and I don't need to get into all the details, but I think Mr. Geidel expressed most of them here at this point. So that's the reason why I'm supporting the exception that the applicant has brought forward. Thank you.
Bill Evans.
Yeah, when this came up at Public Works the other day, what immediately came into my mind is how do we get again to the point where there's 40 houses, then 60, then 80, then 103, all out of compliance, and then we have a thing where all of a sudden our alleys aren't lit because nobody evidently thought 6 months ahead to what was going to happen. And these things keep happening, and I don't know how the process unfolds that we can allow this to keep going, and then all of a sudden somebody notices it and they run around with chickens with their heads cut off, and we got to just fix this, and one guy pays the price. So I'm going to vote to let him have the exception as well, but we need a better way of doing these so we don't keep creating these situations that one guy gets penalized for the sins of so many, if that's really what's going on. So I'm going to vote to give him the exception as well today. Thank you.
Laura Armstrong.
Thank you. In the spirit of transparency, I was one of those council members that spoke with you. Thank you very much for that conversation. It definitely gave us a little more insight to what's going on. Just to clarify, my understanding is this is for your own home. This isn't a development of apartment houses and other houses, correct?
That is correct. I plan on selling the house that I'm living in now.
And that is
a 12-acre chunk and building a new house.
Perfect.
For myself on a 28-acre
And
chunk.
last week at committee, I voted against this, but now after having the conversation with you as well as some of my other colleagues, it just goes to show we do have these guidelines in place, and that's very black and white, but this is very much a gray area, and I will be supporting this. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Pat Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't sure if we were allowed 2 bites at the apple, so I'm glad we are. Thank you. A very wise person who works for the city and has been involved in this kind of work for some time told me that he coined the term, there's 442 weird special projects like this in Rapid City that have been allowed to happen over the years, and now we're busy cleaning up the messes. There's several of them in my ward that I'm working on trying to get cleaned up and make a difference, and those things are very frustrating. People everybody wants everyone to follow the rules until it's them. And my feeling on this issue, Shane, however I end up voting, has nothing to do with you per se. It's not personal or anything like that. I wonder, like Councilman Evans said, when do we draw the line on these things? We either have zoning and follow it, or we don't. And I don't know where the right place is, but there's all kinds of issues like this around town with roads and variances and curves and driveways and all kinds of things that are a mess. And it's our job, it was the people of those that came before us to do it right. Some did, some didn't. And when do we start doing it to make sure that those things are done the right way so we develop properly, safely, and grow in an organized manner? And so this is a tough one for me. It really is. So I just encourage us to think about that. Thank you.
Darla Drew.
Thank you, Mayor. I think one of the reasons that this was denied is we're looking at safety with the one point of access via Bradsky Road. We're looking at one home, and I think that that can be easily we're not bringing in 40 dwelling units at this point anyway. That would be another discussion for another day. We're looking at one home. He's not going to bring that many cars up and down that road. I don't think it's causing a safety hazard, and I think that's the point of access, is that's why this was one of the reasons this was denied. We're looking at one guy with his family, and I just don't see any reason to deny this at this point. Thank you.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to allow the exception, and now we'll go back to Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. I knew there was going to be a little bit of additional discussion on this, so I wanted to hold my powder dry a little bit longer. One of the reasons that I'm supporting this is that this road is paved on the north side of the bridge that has been brought up into question. So all of that area and easy access and egress from this facility that Mr. Geidel is proposing. Then the next part of it is all of these developments are in quite a ways away, and I forget the mileage, what it is, to the next area where it's developed. And that's where the 40-plus units are located at. So it's a considerable distance away. And on the other side of the bridge as well. There was some other complications in the previous development down there in that area south of Mr. Geidel, and that road was supposed to be promised to be put in, and because it was a verbal commitment, nothing happened and nothing took place in that second egress over there. So I don't think it's fair to hold Mr. Geidel accountable because of that lack of follow-through on the previous developer. So that's the reason why I'm supporting the exception. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, motions to allow the exception. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion carries with 1 no from Pat Jones. Okay. And now I would like to go briefly back to item 34, the item that the applicant has withdrawn, and have the council acknowledge that fact. A motion to acknowledge by Nordstrom and a second by Roberts. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. Now we'll go on to item 36. Appeal by KTM Design Solutions of an exception denial to allow dead-end water mains longer than 600 feet. And we have a similar message here that the applicant has withdrawn this exception request. So if I could get an acknowledgement of that. Motion to acknowledge by Solomon and a second by Lance Lehman. All right, and all in favor? Which one was this? 36. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, now to community development items, item 37. A request by KTM Design Solutions for Yasmin Dream 111 LLC for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed lots 1 through 17 of Block 1, lots 1 through 12 of Block 2, lots 1 through 11 of Block 3, 1 through 12 of Block 4, 1 through 17 of Block 5, 1 through 2 of Block 6 of Shepherd Hills South subdivision, generally described as being located east of East Anamosa Street between East Philadelphia and Mickelson Drive, and the committee recommendation was to approve with stipulations. Okay, we have that motion by Darla Drew and a second over here by Jones. All right, and now we'll go to Bill Evans.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with this, but when we do these things and approve a stipulation, I wish we had a better way of listing those stipulations and saying, these are the stipulations, and put them there, rather than have to dig through a bunch of stuff and find out what the discussion was, because I don't think that's a big inconvenience for whoever's typing this up. So that's just a sort of a logistical, procedural thing. But in the future, I think maybe we could perhaps make that change so it's a little more transparent. Thank you.
Duly noted. We have a motion to approve with stipulations. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Down to public hearing items 38 through 41. We have no need for a public hearing. There are no speaker requests. So we will go on to consent public hearing items, which is item 38. So if you're going to save a bunch of time, you can vote for the consent items rather than take them individually. Is there a motion? Who said that? John Roberts made the motion, and a second by, you just got to hold your hand up a little bit more. Pat Jones made the second. Okay, all in favor of approval of item 38, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It's the end of consent. On to non-consent public hearing items. Starting with 39, second reading ordinance 6436, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Fisk Land Surveying and Consulting Engineers for One Heart for a rezoning request from high-density residential district to general commercial district for property generally described as being located at 216 and 218 Quincy Street. Motion approved by Solomon, second by Lehman. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 40, second reading ordinance 6437, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Fisk Land Surveying and Consulting for Dennis Casey for a rezoning request from medium density residential district to office commercial for property generally described as being located at 423 South Street. And, okay, the recommendation from committee, if this changes your mind any, acknowledge the applicant's withdrawal. Okay? Second by Nordstrom. And all in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 41, second reading ordinance 6438, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. A request by the City of Rapid City for a rezoning request from Office Commercial District to Low Density Residential District 2 for property generally described as being located south in the southeast corner of Healing Way and Addison Avenue. Motion to approve by Drew and a second by Lehman. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 42 is the bill list, and we'll turn it over to Finance Director Pauline Sumption.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The total bill list is the new attachment that was attached this afternoon, I believe it was. The total there is $5,973,418.95.
Motion approved.
I have a
Nordstrom,
question.
second. Okay, second by Stroman. We'll go to Darla Drew.
Thank you. Pauline, I have noticed that Laura Armstrong has a really cool mask on tonight. This is civic duty, and I would like to know if we could all get masks like that in the next budget.
I would talk to the mayor. And you guys have control over your budgets, so.
Okay. Well,
I don't do that.
I didn't know exactly how to get it in here, but I just thought that was an awesome mask. So
Shameless plug noted. Oh. No, okay. And then we have a motion. We have a motion to approve the bill list. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to
adjourn. Armstrong says. Second by Stroman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.